Okay, so that will be up and running again. We do apologize for those who are just joining us. There was some technical issues that we had to quickly take down the stream to fix, and then it should be fixed now. Hopefully nothing occurs later on. Fingers crossed. For those who are joining us today, today has been a very, very long day, and it probably won't come to an end anytime soon. We were meant to commentate and cast the match between Alter Ego and Anime is for Girls, that best of three, but that best of three came short when Alter Ego took game one, and then Anime is for Girls forfeited game two. And as such, we tried to find ourselves another best of three for you guys so we can commentate and cast and bring more entertaining, as well as a lot more League of Legends gameplay for you guys. And we did find ourselves another best of three. Unfortunately, there is so much issues occurring. We're definitely power through them all. It just seems that one member from the team of Fear Everything and Rise is having some issues. They might be forced to find a sub, and this is hopefully all sorted out. We do apologize for the delays. We're back into another champion select, and I believe the picks have to be the exact same thing.
I'm not sure what's going on right now. We'll wait and see what these teams end up doing, but hopefully we'll just be able to get this game underway as soon as possible. I'm not sure whether these bans are just... it looks like these bans are kind of just whatever. Teams know what picking, so hopefully we will have this game underway fairly shortly.
Yeah, definitely. So the bans aren't really... don't really matter because they were pick and banned previously, so we do know what the picks are. Just not sure what is taking them so long to go through this pick phase. For those who were wondering what the team comp is going to be, Fear Everything and Rise have believe Jace top, Udyr jungle, Zed mid lane, ADC Cork in the support Thresh, where the likes of the fluffy Waffles, they have the Aurelia in the top lane, the Pantheon in the jungle, Nidalee for mid lane, Ezreal in the ADC, and finally, I believe it's Lulu as the support. And that will be the team roundup coming up from both teams. And... what? So, just gotta get those picks all finalized out and sorted for you guys. And... what?
I'm not exactly sure whether these teams have communicated to each other. I feel like they probably have, so... looks like we'll be having a Vladimir instead of that Jace, and if this goes through, I must admit, hopefully we can just actually get a game on our hands. But
I
the
agree.
players trying to tell me some stuff right now.
Hopefully we do get this game out of the way and start actually getting into game, because I'm itching to finally get some League of Legends gameplay out for you guys, and it is unfortunate of all the delays that have occurred throughout this whole day, and we're truly sorry about it. Some things do tend to come up at the last minute that we're not really aware of, like there are some technical issues. This is an online round robin, so every player is playing at their own home or probably at a LAN as a group together, so everything is online, and whenever there is an online event, technical issues do tend to just arise. Although we're meant to be accountable for what occurs, sometimes things do just happen without us knowing. Like for instance, today the stream was up and running perfectly, and then I randomly had some technical issues that I finally resolved. So even I get some problems.
Enough of the technical issues. We are into the 3-minute spectator delay, so...
and the picks are finally locked in. So that's going to be Vladimir.
So, yes, it looks like we will be playing... Fear will actually be playing with a Vladimir in the top lane. It looks like they actually had to pull a last-minute player substitution, but players are now loading into the game, so hopefully we'll just have this 3-minute spectator delay counting down, and then we'll be into the game and watching them. So I feel like... with that Jace swap out, I'm not sure whether or not, whether I prefer the new team comp with that Vladimir. So obviously they clearly have a better mix of damage. Previously they only had Corki supplying that magic damage, and a little bit from Udyr as well. Now they also have Vladimir for that AoE. But the acceleration gate and the poke from Jace was actually very, very big in their previous team comp, especially against the comp that Fluffy Whales is sporting. Without that acceleration gate to be able to get into the fights and having those shock blasts to be able to poke in siege situations, I feel like Fear are actually going to struggle a fair amount when it comes to just general sieging or anything that's not an all-in fight. And looking at this team comp on the side of Fluffy Whales, that's what they're looking to be doing. Nidalee and Ezreal very good at poking from those backlines, and Lulu in that support role very good at supplementing that as well with her disengage, that wild growth, and the polymorph, as well as the Whimsy for that extra little bit of movement speed. Aurelia and Pantheon, interestingly, don't fit too well into this comp. It's kind of like a mini dive comp. But
yeah.
They are, if they can kind of draw fire to themselves, just become big enough threats that you really have to focus them, then Nidalee and Ezreal are really going to be able to do work without being touched in the backlines. So I feel like Fluffy Waffles definitely with the better all-rounded team comp, or should I say, they have a much more focused objective. So when I look at team comps, I really prefer to see having comps with a set win condition in mind. So you can just pick a bunch of champions that are really, really strong, and if you're good enough, you'll do well with that. But when you start getting into the really top levels of League of Legends, you really need to be picking champions that synergize with each other, that that either complement each other's weaknesses or perform the same thing really well that you can do together as a team. So in this case, you've got, like I mentioned, the Lulu, Nidalee, Ezreal kind of mini poke comp to be able to kite and poke in around these fights coming out on the side of Fluffy Waffles.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I did like about when it came with Jace versus Vladimir, which one was probably the better pick, you mentioned, like you said, the poke is definitely a lot less with the Vladimir pick in comparison to had it been a Jace, because Corki and Jace, one of those with Corki's ultimate missile barrage and Jace's acceleration gate with, I believe it's Shock Orb or Shock. He's the
Shock Blast.
Orb, Shock Blast. Sorry. So with those two abilities, they were able to get a lot of poke down in comparison to what Nidalee and Ezreal. And Nidalee, granted, she's a lot of people starting to build her more AP instead of the AD. So the AP AD Nidalee battle is now leaning towards AP yet again. But what's with the AP Nidalee is it's not good early anymore. She needs ability power items. If anything, I believe it's reduced flat and increased on the scaling, so she has more ability items. That's where all the damage potential can come out. So later on in the game, those spears will hurt. Mid game, not as much, not like what it used to be when it was just absolutely broken half health spears. So now it's a lot reduced in that aspect. And had they had the Jace, that mid game poke is a lot stronger than what Nidalee could have offered. What thing I do though like with the Vladimir, we mentioned Ezreal. If he's built blue Ezreal, he can kite very effectively. Udyr, who's a very high mobility speed, trying to run into your face, Ezreal can just simply blink away while Lulu slows him down with Glitter Lance and Whimsy to speed up Ezreal. But one thing I like is the Vladimir Hemoplague mixed in with the Death Strike from Zed. So if you can catch the Hemoplague onto Ezreal and Zed's able to land his ultimate onto Ezreal, alright, Ezreal might be able to blink away, but if Zed can get some damage, that's two dots that after a couple seconds will explode. And if they can do that effectively, they can actually just blow up Ezreal no matter how much he can kite.
Yeah, it really will be a question of can they manage to blow up Fluffy Cow before he's able to get away and continue to kite them. And the same holds true for both for Gloopify as well on that Nidalee. This game very much is going to come down to can Fear actually end up, can they get in onto Fluffy Waffles and basically finish the fights before they start, because if these fights become extended and the Fluffy Waffles team comp is allowed to kite out, they're pretty much going to win. It really is on fear everything to their team, basically to just get in and do as much damage as they can to try and win the fight at the very beginning. And I believe a lot of that is going to come down to Jasonator on that Thresh. Can he land those death sentences? Because they are going to be so crucial in this match.
Absolutely, and we're already getting off the game with another pause. Reminiscent of the previous best of 3 that we had earlier today. Nothing has changed just yet. Hopefully this pause doesn't take too long. Both teams are able to get into game straight away. And yeah, as you mentioned, like the picks are good and pause is done. So fantastic. We finally got ourselves into the game. This is the second best of 3 for tonight. It will be between Fear Everything and Rise on the blue side and the Fluffy Waffles on the red side. This is, and again, another best of 3. First game, so not sure who will take the first game just yet. Both teams have very interesting comps for sure. And I'm very interested to see how this Nidalee pick will come about.
Yeah, so we mentioned the Nidalee, as you mentioned, the kind of AD versus AP debate. AP Nidalee definitely coming a lot more into fashion, and that is what we will be seeing this game from this mid lane Nidalee Gloopify. Picking up that exhaust, I do very much like that for the Z matchup. It's been commented on quite a lot, and it looks like... So we've got this level 1 invade. Oh, a nice death sentence, but unfortunately, they don't... Fear don't actually have all their 5 members ready to capitalize on that, but they did manage to put a ward down and scout out that invade, so not too much will come of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The ward placement coming out from Fear Everything and Rise, they were definitely being fearful of what was occurring and had those defensive wards placed prematurely. So good decision from there. They're able to get the rest of Fluffy to back away with simply the death sentence from Jasonator, showing that we're here, we know you're there, get out of our jungle, and that's what just happened. So they're able to keep the buffs, but I do like the ward that's placed on the Krugs from Fluffy Waffles. They are aware exactly where Whirling Death on the Udyr is gonna start, and knowing where the enemy jungler is, the other jungler can play around that, like can gank, can counter jungle effectively, but also Jasonator can play a bit more aggressive, knowing the fact that there's no one there to gank him anytime soon.
Yeah, well, Vengeance on that Pantheon. Pantheon probably one of, if not the strongest jungler in the early game, and by the early game I mean, you know, levels 2 and 3, definitely pre-6. You know, Pantheon very scary on those early invades, so I'm curious to see as to whether he will try and go for one of those, because yeah, Pantheon, you don't really want to be dueling him in the early levels. He's just so scary to deal with. Although Udyr, not the easiest champion to invade, often known to get up to a bit of counter jungling himself, so yeah, I'm just interested to see what these junglers end up doing with their jungle paths.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, we've seen how Whirling Death just simply avoided the Raptor camp, whereas Vengeance has cleared all the east side of his jungle. He might decide to actually back away, if anything. He does have mana because of the blue buffs, but no, he's decided to do a full clear, if anything. Well, in the previous best of 3, we saw the Jarvan clear the east side of the camp, back away, buy the upgraded smite, and then come back to clear the rest of his jungle. So that was a strat, but it looks as though these jungles have different play. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Neon gets a kill on the Gloopify. Gloopify was playing a bit too aggressive, went inside that Cougar form, went for the pounce. Even though the exhaust came out, the ignite and as well as the passive from Zed was able to pick up the kill. In the top lane, Jazza onto Deluxe, gets the stun, was not able to do much damage. Looks as though the Vladimir pick is going to do a bit better. I would see also the hook landing on the Hunter, the flare follow-up too. Jay-Z is taking a bit of damage, but the Fluffy cow doing quite well for himself. Lane. Yes, and Whirling Death has ganked onto Jazz on time, misses the stun onto a minion! So the minion's not having his day at all, but Jazza will be able to get away safely. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Gloopify going on to Neon, game with the turnaround damage is huge. The flash is on, the hunted Sun is onto him, Gloopify goes in, the pounce, but no! Neon turns it around! He gets himself his second kill of the game! Neon Gamer 101! He's definitely the professor of this class, 101, how to win the game. And he will be able to back away and get himself a lot of good items. If anything, he could get himself a Brutalizer and another Longsword, if anything.
Yeah, so Gloopify a bit over-aggressive there. was actually, I believe, a level behind. Now actually 2 levels behind after that kill, and of course he was fighting under a wave of minions as well. So yeah, he only managed to buy a second Doran's ring when he went back. So not picking up that big of a power spike in terms of items, and he just fought in an unfavorable situation. Like I said, a level behind, and as well as a wave of minions in the way. Very, very close fight, but Neon 2-0 now picks himself up a Tiamat.
Exactly, that's an interesting item buy from Zed. I'm used to brutalizers or maybe even just a triple longsword. I do the triple longsword start for myself, but never seen an early Tiamat buy from any Zed matter. Maybe this is just Neon Gamer's special build and just goes for the early Tiamat into Ravenous or Brutalizer. It's an interesting buy. It doesn't work though.
Yeah, well, I must admit, I'm not actually a big Zed player myself. I don't really like playing him, so I don't play him too much, but I feel I do actually like Tiamat on Zed as far as I can tell. One of the big reasons people often go for that Blade of the Ruined King first item is the active damage synergizes with the Death Mark quite well. You know, it gives you a little bit of extra damage from the active to proc off the Death Mark with. And, you know, a Tiamat does that pretty much better. It just gives you more damage to the Birth combo. Again, has an active to synergize with the Death Mark, and just that Ravenous Hydra has a lot more AD than a Blade of the Ruined King. What you are giving up for it is the Blade of the Ruined King gives you a lot of sticking power, and many Zed players feel that sticking power is far more important than the raw damage. So we'll have to see if Neon, you know, if in a little bit of trouble now, but not going to take too much for us there. But yeah, if he has a little bit of trouble sticking to his targets, because if he can, you know, get on top of them and get a little bit of damage out, that Tiamat, a higher damage item, oh, Fluffy Cow's in trouble.
Yeah, Jay does land a Death Sentence on the Fluffy Cow. He's forced to blink away. Does have flash. The heal has been used. Now Dasco is forced to flash away. Even used heal as well. He's taking a lot of return damage. Fluffy goes in for the flash. The Mystic Shot does land. Fluffy gets himself the kill. Now it's onto Jay-Z, but a great Death Sentence into the tower. And Jay-Z gets another kill. The kill for his team. That's his first one. That's 3 kills in favor of Fear Everything and Rise. We on the top lane, Jazza taking the kill onto Deluxe. And interesting enough, look at the CS difference between Jazza and
gosh.
Deluxe.
Yeah, wow, I hadn't even noticed that. Jazza and I are doing so well in that top lane. We commented on the Vladimir in the team fights. Vladimir really contribute. Oh, Neon Gamer's in trouble.
Yeah, Neon Gamer finds time just all in on the Glove Fight. He gets exhausted. The stun from Vengeance does that. And the Ignite take on Gluffy! It is not enough. He'll simply heal and survive that. Vengeance's gank I don't know if it really turned out in favor of Fluffy. Neon Gamer was able to do a lot of damage, and it turns out that Tiamat actually was helpful. Not sure if the Blade of the Ruined King would have been the better option, but Neon Gamer overstaying his welcome, gets flashed down by Vengeance. He's getting dangerously low, and that's going to be a kill for Vengeance. Neon definitely overstaying his welcome right there, and giving away an unnecessary kill.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, eating a spear to the face there allowed Vengeance to get in with that flash and finish off that kill. So, a nice little eagle eye shot there from Gloopify to secure that kill. Well, to allow that kill for his teammate, and it will allow him to be able to get back in this game a bit. Still a little bit of CS discrepancy, but Neon Gamer is still definitely ahead in this middle lane, and looks at this rate, it looks like he'll have to be the shining light for his team, because unfortunately the other lane's not going too well right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially in that top lane, Deluxe has himself a 43 CS deficit. That's more, like, the deficit is double that of how much he's actually farmed. That's how behind he is in that top lane. This is just going to be Jazz's time to shine on the Aurelia. Aurelia is not one of those champions you just want to give away free reign to, especially if they get that early Triforce. They're an absolute monster, and later in the game go, they're even bigger of a threat. In the mid lane, Neon Gamer just simply back and forth. That's what gets engaged upon. Fluffy will get the kill. Jay-Z's trying his best. He hooks on the Fluffy, but he will fall down, giving another kill away towards the Fluffy Whales. Whoever gets it is not sure. It turned out to be Hunter. Will secure the kill. Good job for himself.
Yeah, so first man drop, very, very successful, but in this top lane, another fight.
And just Deluxe. Oh my gosh, forced the flash out of Jazza in order to secure the kills. Nearly able to get away though, surprisingly. But Deluxe, it is not his day tonight. Not sure if the
call here from Fluffy Waffles, though. You know, we mentioned that first man drop, very, very successful, getting a double kill in that bottom lane, and immediately they transition into that dragon. And I don't think that Neon Gabe is looking to get in.
Yeah, he goes onto Hunter with the death mark. It's not going to be able to pop. Whirling Death is now in the middle of the fray. He falls out instantaneously. He's not tanky enough to become that amazing Udyr. That's a double kill going towards Vengeance. Everything's going right for the Fluffy Waffles. Not so in the fear of everything. Now Dusko is going to be the next prey on the menu, giving away Glopify another kill.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there from Fear. I feel as though they... You know, Neon Gamer, he went in with the death mark and just wasn't able to get the damage down to net a kill with that pop from that death mark. And just stuck... He seemed to be indecisive, but Deluxe in this top lane...
Unfortunately, gets
so much
towered.
trouble. He really can't stay in that lane anymore. The tower just isn't going to save him. Jazzanite's so far ahead on that Aurelia and just commanding such a lead in that lane. They fear everything. They really need to come up with some sort of strategy because what they have right now is just not working.
Yeah, it's absolutely devastating for Fear Everything and Rise. They're probably fearing everything and they're trying to rise if they could, but it's just not working out for them. Deluxe so behind in the top lane. He's only on 23 CS. He's level 6, and now the man drop onto the mid lane. Neon forced to flash away, gets caught by the trap. He does shadow away, but the ward over for the stun. Neon is taking dangerously low. Vengeance is on a rampage. He's 4-0-2. He's absolutely the man of the game, doing wonders for his team. The ganks are real 3-11. Of the kills and a 5k deficit 12 minutes in the game.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, Vengeance doing very good work for his team. He's ganked the bottom lane once, but recognizing that the top lane is just winning so far, I honestly think that at this point Jazzanite could 1v2 you know, both Deluxe and Whirling Death. So so Vengeance really recognizing that he's not needed there. He's recognizing that his help is needed in that mid lane, so focusing most of his time there. Did give one gank in the bottom lane to get Fluffy Cow and Hunter ahead, as well as net that dragon. But other than that, he's just been focusing his efforts exactly where they're needed in that mid lane. And as Jazzanite just grabs another kill, securing his dominance over Deluxe in this top lane. Yeah,
Deluxe is not having his time of day in that top lane. He's barely even able to get a full wave clear. He's only finally able to get some minions before giving away another kill. And the Triforce being completed by Jazza as well. In the mid lane, Vengeance, he's like, alright, have the Tiamat, I don't care. I can 1v1 with simply the Stalker's Blade and Warrior's Enchantment. 5th kill of the game, 5-0-2. Now Neon, who was supposed to be the saving grace for his team. He did have a good start early on, was able to get a double kill. Only a couple minutes in, he's falling behind 2-4-0. His counterpart Glopify 1-2-4. The assists coming into light for himself. 3-13. This is just not looking good for Fear whatsoever.
Yeah, not looking good for them at all. Fluffy Waffles definitely looking in commanding position of this game, and I'm not exactly sure. I feel as though Fear Everything, they definitely haven't lost this game yet. They still have all of their towers up, and oh gosh, this is about to change.
That's a very scary man job, tower diving onto the enemy team. Jay-Z does get stunned by Vengeance, but he will fall down. The red buff will pick up that kill, actually. That's a 6th kill for Vengeance. Vengeance utilizing Pantheon's early game dominance, prominence, and to mid-game effectively. Even gets another kill for Fluffy Cow. So that's Fluffy Cow's 3rd kill of the game. This is great champion control by Vengeance, knowing Pantheon's strengths and weaknesses and maximizing on the strengths. In the top lane, Jazza doesn't care about the tower. He just tower dives for another kill. That's his 5th one. And he's just having his way in the top lane. This is almost sickening.
Yeah, and we've seen, Aurelias that get, 1 or 2 kills in that top lane on their own, able to solo carry games. When you have an Aurelia that's dominating this hard, oh, Neon Gamer's in trouble.
Yeah, he definitely, there comes the Deathmark, turning out to Gloverfy. He's trying his best to turn around the fight. Can Deathmark? No, the heal from Gloverfy saves his life yet again, so he's able to finally 1v1 that Neon Gamer Zed. That's definitely ringing alarms. He was able to get early kills onto Gloverfy's Nidalee, but now he can't even 1v1. That's definitely something scary to behold. Dasko has to get away. Vengeance aching to tower dive that. He doesn't care either. He's 603, going to start the Brutalizer. Gets hooked by the death sentence, so the turnaround time is actually kind of big. The teleport's also coming from Jazza. Jay-Z is in a world of pain. He has to be very careful. Lantern throws down too. He's trying his best, but Jazza doesn't care. He's going in. He gets hooked as well. Gets hit by the tower. It's another stun. And he'll simply jump towards a minion to escape. And Jazza actually taking below half health, so maybe a bit too greedy for his own liking.
Yeah, so despite how far ahead he is, he still can't fight several members of Fear on his own. So, but a decent teleport putting a good amount of pressure down, and it did allow Fluffy Cow to start to get some damage on this bottom tower, although with the rest of Fear rotating down, he will have to back away and meet up with Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. The teleport from Jazza just doing wonders. It's finally what was supposed to give Deluxe some free reign to farm. Just not his day whatsoever, opting to go for, I believe, an early Will of the Ancients. He's so behind, it's very sad. The Hemo Plague, it's all he can do now. That's the only relevance he can provide for his team, is that Hemo Plague for the increased damage amplifier for his team. But if his team are behind as well, there's nothing he can do, and that's the second dragon going towards Fluffy Waffles.
Yeah, so Fluffy Waffles, as we've said, in commanding position of this game. And I'm not sure what kind of things Fear can do to get back in this game, barring some sort of, mistake from Fluffy Waffles that they can capitalize on. They really have to be trying to just look for those mistakes. And, Neon's found Fluffy Cow.
Yeah, he has, but who cares? The shield coming out from Hunter is able to deter him away. The shield's actually kind of big, because we do see a Magi's on Hunter, and why not? It's a very good item. His team is so ahead. Look at the Spirit that did onto Deluxe. Now onto Jay-Z. The ultimate coming out from True Shot Barrage. Glover picks up his first kill. Can he secure another? And he does! He snipes him down. The Spears are on point. Gloverfy showing the works of Nidalee. He hasn't even missed another Spirit yet. He's landing them all the time. And something scary. That's actually the first time he's missed, I believe.
Yeah, well, you got to keep throwing them out, and eventually one of them hits. And we have a Grand Skyfall.
Oh my god, Vengeance doesn't even care. In fact, he gets a stun onto Neon Gamer, who's trying to escape. The chase is now on the hit onto the inhibitor turret. And 7 minutes into this game, Fluffy Whale's absolutely taking control of this game. It is their game to lose. Now they're onto the middle inhibitor turret. In terms of towers, they actually do get a game. Vengeance doesn't care. He tower dies as his first death of the game, giving it away towards Dasko. So Dasko finally getting himself one kill. Not sure if that could be the saving turnaround grace, but if anything, they need to get more kills up and try to get back and claw from this 12 gold deficit.
Yeah, so fortunately for Fear, the changes to Season 5 makes base defending a lot easier, especially at this early point in the game. Those laser towers, they're very, very hard to deal with. You can't really dive on top of them, especially at this early stage in the game. So they will hopefully be able to defend their base for a bit longer, but Jason8 has been caught out.
Yeah, definitely. He's forced to flash away. Does get stunned though. He does land the death sentence onto Hunter, but Jazza doesn't even care. He's being the front line in front of him. He gets smited upon. Will jump towards Jay-Z. Can he secure the kill? No! Jay-Z still lives. Now Jazza might actually fall for this. He gets ignited. He gets double ignited. Not sure if double ignite can stack at all, but it somehow got the kill, giving that towards Neon Gamer. And now the chase is on Vengeance, jumping up to Deluxe. Deluxe taking so much damage from the Heartseeker. Meanwhile, Gloverfy's onto Willing Death. That's one kill. He might be able to chase onto Neon Gamer. He does know. He'll simply back away the minions, keeping him alive. Actually, Gloverfy, no. He won't go for the Sneaky Spear. Or will he?
Went for it, but...
He went for it, but missed.
Grand Skyfall. Where is that going? Oh gosh, it's in the base.
Wow, Vengeance going deep for sure. Hunter now taking tower aggro. Gloverfy going on to Neon Gamer will secure the kill. Vengeance Not sure where he was going. He was definitely manly. He's proving how Mantheon should be played, showing all the boys how to be men, just casually ulting in the middle of the base. And Gloverfly gets a spear. Oh, the damage from Dasco. Had Gloverfly had at least a Rabadon, that could have been a free kill right there.
Quite possibly, but yeah, Gloopify just sticking around. He does have this blue buff, so he can just continue throwing out spears. And I'm not sure whether Fear can do much about this. They just take half their health from a single spear.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's just absolutely absurd, the damage coming out from Glubby. Look at the spears, he's hardly missing any. And that's something scary. If you have a Nidalee player who can land almost every single spear, or has at least a 90% hit rate with those spears, that's something to be proud of. You can run these poke-like, siege-like comps, and Nidalee, when she does generate enough ability power, those spears can hurt a lot. We saw it hitting onto Dasco. Wasn't able to secure the kill, but due to the fact that it has less ability power, we're already seeing just a Morella Nomicon double Doran's Ring spears, how much damage they actually can do.
And despite that blue... Oh gosh. What is... Okay, Whirling Death has found his way into the base of... the name escapes me. I'm sorry.
Of Fluffy Waffles. He does give away his life, so does Deluxe. That's Deluxe's 8th death of the game. This is definitely going to be game over sometime in the near future. Not sure if Fear Everything will surrender though, or if Fluffy Waffles are able to finally get into the base. They're slightly working on towards the inhibitor turrets. But if I was Fear Everything and Rise, I would take this game, figure out what mistakes they've done, and come into game 2, hopefully figure out what to actually do. They maybe not allow their rally pick, maybe ban away Aurelia, who wasn't banned at all. They banned the likes of Akali, LeBlanc, and Warwick. So maybe swap out the Warwick and ban out Aurelia. Maybe even try a different comp altogether, get more of a AoE team-like comp. So if I was Fear Everything and Rise, I would not try for this game and go into game 2 hopefully with a better mindset.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it didn't even get to the stage in this game where the comps made too much of an impact. It really was just that Fear Everything and Rise, they got outclassed in, 2 out of 3 lanes and the jungle. So Gloopify having a bit of trouble in that mid lane, but the rest of his team really showing their dominating prowess of League of Legends, and really just snowballing the game off the early laning phase and not really letting up from there. So I'm not sure, that they basically just have to pick strong laners and try to do as well as they can to not lose the early game as bad as they did this time.
Yeah, definitely. Jazza just doesn't really care. He goes on to Darkseid again. In fact, he would secure that kill. He's just been completely ballsy now. Whirling Death gets locked up by Vengeance. Heartseeker doing a lot of damage. The box coming out from Jazza, Jay-Z as well. Not going to be able to do much because Jazza was able to get a double kill. Neon Gamer going completely deep. He flashes away. But he's getting chased upon the rest of Fluffy Waffles. And this looks to be game 1 going towards Fluffy Waffles. And it's a much-deserved victory.
Oh yeah, definitely. They clearly showed that they were the better team, at least in this game. I am still hopeful that we can get a closer game 2. Even if we don't see Fear Everything and Rise taking out a win, I would just like to see some improvement come game 2, because let's be honest, this game is pretty one-sided. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that they can make some sort of improvement on their next one.
It wasn't just a simple win. This was an avalanche of a snowball. It was absolutely monstrous for Fluffy Waffles, and they take game 1 in very convincing fashion. And it's good on for them. They're proving to be one of the top-tier teams coming out of the round robins. So later on in further rounds to come in the future, when they do come across teams like Alter Ego and maybe Anime as well, other teams that are doing quite strong, I believe Fluffy Waffles are showing, hey, we're here to stay. We can actually come out on top of this. But hopefully Fear Everything and Rise can come out of this and at least win, or maybe not win, but at least prove a better game or have a better performance in game 2.
Yeah, so have to wait and see what happens in Game 2, but I am hoping that they will be able to make some sort of improvement and put up a little bit of a better show than they did in the first game. We saw plenty of room for improvement, so hopefully improvement is what we see next game.
Yeah, definitely, guys. We'll take a quick tea break for now. It shouldn't be too long. We'll be away for about a couple of minutes. So don't leave anywhere. Game 2 between Fear Everything and Rise and the Fluffy Waffles will be back quite shortly. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the round 3 of Arclight Gaming Round Robin, where 22 teams have been duking it out over the next several weeks in order to qualify and become top dogs and make it to the finals. If you're just joining us tonight, this is the second best of 3 we've been commentating, and it is between Fluffy Waffles, who took game 1 in very convincing fashion, and Fear Everything and Rise. Thank you, and Vizzy, for also joining me through this very long and struggling day. We are about to get into game just in a second, guys, so don't you worry.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good to be here casting tonight, and like you mentioned, it has been a fairly lengthy night. We like you said, the second best of 3. We're expecting it to be just one, but fortunately we have managed to get a second match out for you guys, as the first one was cut short. So, but we are into game 2, and like you said, Fluffy Waffles taking game 1 in convincing fashion. I would expect them to be able to take this second game as well, but hopefully Fear Everything and Rise can step up their game a bit and give us a bit of a show for this game. And already we see the Pantheon banned out from Vengeance. Those Grand Skyfalls were very impactful in that game, so yeah, no surprise to see that on the ban list.
Absolutely, his performance on Pantheon was amazing. He showed what it was to be a man on Pantheon. He tower dived with those man drops. He went completely deep. At one point he was 6-0, absolutely snowballing his team. So it's no surprise that Fear Everything and Rise were fearful of it and just instantly banned it away. On the likes of Fluffy Waffles, their ban hasn't changed. They banned Nara in last game, Rek'Sai in last game, Janna in last game. All 3 champions have a very big pick rate in the OCE meta. Janna herself, one of the solid supports in this current meta, absolutely amazing. Rek'Sai, it's a given. You don't want Rek'Sai at all on the enemy team or even on your team. She's an absolute monster, and if you can't play her, well then that kind of sucks. And amazing top lane. And we also see the Ezreal being picked up yet again by Fluffy Cow. He was actually quite good on that Ezreal in last game.
Yeah, so mentioned Nara and Rek'Sai. You basically either want those champions on your team or on the ban list, and I feel like Fluffy Cow definitely prioritizing this Ezreal to be able to first pick it. We heard the teams speculating that Fear Everything and Rise also might have wanted to pick that Ezreal up, so hearing that as a first pick for themselves while getting that Nara and Rek'Sai on the ban list so that they were able to pick up the Ezreal for themselves, you know, and not give away a priority pick like that Nara, Rek'Sai, or Janna to Fear Everything and Rise.
Yeah.
But we do see a Musty and a Malphite picked up in the first round of drafts, so be interesting to see how this team comp ends up forming out.
Yeah, it's a definitely different team comp as to what the previous lineup was. Now they actually have a proper frontliner champion in the likes of Malphite, and a lot better of initiation. Whereas in the previous one, they couldn't really get an initiation going on. Right, they had Udyr, but he'll get kited, and if he was in the middle of the fray, he would die instantly. So having Malphite, the unstoppable charge, with his ultimate, I believe it's unstoppable charge.
Unstoppable force.
Close enough. So an unstoppable force of that of Malphite, and followed by with the likes of Marcy, and if they do lock in Zed, Neon had a very good early game on Zed. He was able to get 2-0 only a couple minutes into game, and unfortunately it started to snowball against him because Pantheon was just camping so hard on Neon Gamer, and Vengeance was just like there every single time. But now they actually have a proper initiation. But one thing I don't like coming out from their comp, they're very heavy in the AD side. So a simple armor stack will be very big. But on the opposite side, it looks like a lot more of a magic. They're running a double AP comp, Cassidy in the top lane, and Valkor's making an appearance in that support role.
Yeah, so very heavy magic damage, as you said. But of course, they do have 2 physical damage champions. We saw Vi earlier this evening. Vi with an early lead, able to get an earlier warrior enchantment, can just do so much damage in the early to mid game. pretty much 100 into 0 squishy targets. That was scary to see. So I'm curious. I'm wondering whether Vengeance will be able to pull that out this game. But you know, on the side of fear everything in Rise, Neon Game back on that Z. I very much like to see that, and you know, had actually a fairly good time against Gloopify in the early lane, and we'll have to see whether Vengeance has to babysit him again to pull that lane back in their favor once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is true. He did have a good lane against Gloopify, but then again, Gloopify was playing the Nidalee, and every time he went in for those aggressive pounces, Neon was able to turn around the fight and come out ahead. Both times he lived with very little health as well, so he was able to turn around, take those fights. We've entered into the spectators' delay, so therefore picks have been guaranteed and locked in. On the side of Fluffy Waffles, we see Jazza bring out the Cassidy. Can he reciprocate such a dominating performance like he did with Aurelia? Vengeance playing the Vi. Could he also have another manly play with a female, which is interesting? Gloopify with Ari. Fluffy Cow on... Now he's moved to support role. He will be picking out that Valkars. And Sarah G, I believe, is a sub-in for this matchup. And she or he will play... I'm going to say she because the name is Sarah. Sarah is playing on the Ezreal. Meanwhile, on the side of Fear Everything and Rise, Deluxe has moved into the jungle, probably scared of Jazza in that top lane. Here we play Master Yi. Whirling Death will actually move into that top lane, brings out the Malphite. Neon Gamer, can he redeem himself on the Fabled Zed? Meanwhile, Jay-Z on the Lucian, and Dasco playing Braum. They swapped as well.
Yeah, so interesting to see couple of actually role swaps this game. We don't see that too often, but I am actually very much a fan of teams who are able to role swap like this. You know, having players who can flexibly pick into several different lanes. You know, perhaps each player might have a different playstyle. So, take for example, I know neither team this game has actually swapped out their mid lane. In fact, mid lane will be the only matchup that was the same as last game in terms of players. But if we take, for example, if you have two mid laners on your team, one of them might be an assassin player and one of them might be a poke player, and you can really choose basically what suits your team comp. And it can be difficult, I'm sure a lot of you know, if you really favor one type of champions to try and pick up another style of play. It might just be easier to pick up an entirely different lane. So I do very much enjoy seeing teams who are able to swap around these roles depending on what their team comps call for.
It definitely, the versatility coming out for players who can play in multiple roles. It can also take... when it comes to pick and ban phase, and we mentioned this in the previous game, that a pick and ban phase is one of the most intricate plays that could ever occur in a game. Alright, people say it's in-game play that can dictate the game, but sometimes itself, the pick and ban phase and the research gone into it can also dictate games. And we've seen a lot of even professional teams lose games because of the pick and ban phase. And when you have players that can play in multiple roles and have a very diverse champion pool, it's very hard to do your research and to scout behind them, because you'd be like, okay, this guy plays in solo queue, for instance, he plays a lot of ADC. So then you start banning out his ADC, but it turns out he's the mid laner, and the ADC of that team doesn't even play those champions. So for all these predetermined research, they're basically nothing if you have a team that can be very, very versatile in the way they can play their champions.
Yeah, so it's good to see that being picked up, but we do have some interesting matchups this game. Zed versus Ahri, I feel like Ahri will do a little bit better than Nidalee will against Zed. Perhaps, I'm trying to think in the early game. At least once you hit 6, Ahri definitely able to kite around Zed a little bit more. With that Spirit Rush. And of course, unlike Nidalee, Ahri very strong with a Zhonya's Hourglass Rush. Yeah. So, you know, champions like Ahri who can rush that Zhonya's Hourglass, very good matchups against a Zed. That, obviously, that item, the Stasis Active doing very, very well against that Death Mark, so a very good pickup against him. So I feel like Loopify might have a little bit better of a time, but Nidalee honestly doesn't do too badly against Zed. He just got outplayed in lane. as for the other matchups, Casterton versus Malphite, I'm not exactly sure how that goes. I feel as though, Casterton's one of those champions that you really need to shut down in the early game. And Malphite just doesn't have the tools to do that. Generally how Malphite wins lanes is by wave clearing with that ground slam, being able to keep up in CS, and then harassing with that seismic shard to get some damage in. But Casterton really not going to be worried too much about that, especially if he's on point with those null spheres, being able to get that magic damage shield in time. And it's really, that top lane is going to come down to, assuming we don't have another big stomp like we did in the last game, that top lane really is going to come down to which champion can impact more in team fights. Casterton has a bit more of a sustained presence in fights, whereas Malphite really is just to kind of win the fight all up with an unstoppable force.
Yeah, definitely. It is depending on also what kind of builds they're going to go for, because if it is an AP Malphite, which, now, it probably won't be an AP Malphite because they really do need that frontliner, but Malphite does exceptionally well against heavy AD comps, and we're seeing a very heavy AP comp coming out from the Fluffy Waffles, Valkaz, Ari, even Cassidy, instead of all magic damage, and Malphite, granted he can build magic resistance, but his innate ability is very good against AD heavy teams. Now Gloverfire does disconnect, so we're having some technical issues, but it shouldn't be too long with the pause. And one of the featured matchups I want to highlight the most, granted it's not going to be a more or less they're going to duke it out and actually fight each other in that kind of matchup, but the playstyle of the two junglers is very diverse. You have the likes of Vi, who has the potential to gank at level 1, at level 2, sorry, with the Vault Breaker, with her Q. Then you have someone like Master Yi, who, when Feral Flare was introduced into the game, he just stayed in jungle, ramped up those stacks, and was an absolute monster later of the game. One thing, you also mentioned how Casa needs to be shut down early. I don't see, with the Yi pick, would that work? And that's why I like the Cassidy pick into the Yi jungle, because Yi, who's going to be very farm-orientated, they're just going to be like, alright then, well, no one's going to shut down Cassidy, because Yi's going to be in jungle farming the whole time.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm not a big fan of this Master Yi pick, especially after we saw how last game panned out. It really just ended up that Fear Everything and Rise, they just lost the laning phase. They just got outplayed in 2 out of 3 lanes, and I feel like Deluxe, he really needs to, he probably should have gone for a jungler that can try and stave that off a little bit. Especially when you have the disparity of an early jungler like Vi, who's very, very potent in those early ganks with that Vault Breaker. Level 3 ganks from Vi with the Vault Breaker into Flash combo, where you flash while the Vault Breaker is charging. That's very, very, very scary and very difficult to dodge without burning a flash of your own.
Oh, definitely. Well,
yeah, I feel like Vengeance definitely going to have a lot more impact in these early lanes, and I'm not sure if Fear Everything and Rise are going to be able to handle that. Of course, Master Yi very strong if he is given the time to farm up in his jungle. You mentioned Feral Flare, of course, the Devourer enchantment on your Hunter's Machete items. Doing a similar thing, so, if Master Yi is given time to farm in the jungle, he will be a late game powerhouse. It's just that, is his team going to survive the early to mid game and allow him to get there?
Yeah, it all depends on how these lanes go out. With the likes of Lucian and Braum, a very aggressive bot lane. If Brom's able to get his concussive blows started on somebody, Lucian with his light slinger passive, when it gets 2 auto attacks, is able to get those concussive blows stacked up fairly quickly. That's an actual threat to worry about. I'm interested to know, with the likes of Valkaz, now we hardly see Valkaz being picked up anywhere competitively, but if he has to be picked up, he'll definitely go in that support role for that poke-like orientation. And as we can see, why? Because of those Qs coming up from Valkaz. But one thing I want to know is, does Brahm's wall negate that Lifeform Disintegration Ray coming out from Valkaz?
No, it does not. So Lifeform Disintegration Ray, it's kind of like Luxalt or Xerath Q in that it does damage in an area, and it's not actually a missile that can be blocked by a wind wall or the Bronze Unbreakable. It does damage in the whole area, and it ticks kind of in the entire area at the same time, if that makes sense. That's probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned whether we see Vel'Koz. Interestingly, he was designed for that mid lane, but I think the biggest reason we see him in that support role so often is just the way his numbers pan out. He has actually got quite high base damages, but fairly low AP ratios, which means that he can actually do a lot of damage on a low gold item build. And that's probably... Oh gosh, Deluxe is in trouble.
Yeah, he does get knocked on by Vengeance. Patiently waiting. Deluxe is forced to flash away, but the flash coming out from Vengeance as well. Deluxe is dangerously low. The red buff! It is enough to get the kill. Deluxe does fall, giving Vengeance his first blood of the game. And Deluxe is just not having a good series. First in the top lane, he died mercilessly by Jazza, and now Vengeance is taking that up and saying, I'm one-upping you, you tower dive, I just invade the jungle and live there.
Yeah, so we talked about the potential of Vi really snowballing the lanes before Master Yi had a chance to ramp up. Well, looks like Vengeance is really taking it to the source and just going for the counter jungle and the invades in the early game. And he's still sticking around in that topside jungle.
Yeah, definitely. He's just trying his best to get as much camps away from Deluxe. You don't want to get that musty farm. Now he was actually waiting patiently in the brush, and Deluxe is taking a bit of damage. Vengeance doing a lot. The Vault Breaker is on. Deluxe is so dangerously low. The damage simply from a machete. It's Hunter's machete. Hunter's machete from Vengeance. It's just the damage on Deluxe. He's forced to back soon as well. And Vengeance is not living in his jungle. He doesn't care about his jungle. He's like, you know what, I like Master Yi's jungle a bit more. It's a lot more fun and tastier to be in. And now he's taking the Raptors. While Deluxe is forced to try and do something in the top lane. In the bot lane, Jay-Z has to be careful. Jazza gets engaged on. Deluxe is seeking revenge. It's like, you killed me previous game. I want booty. I want blood. Get back here. And no, Jazza just simply gets away.
So I feel as though a little bit of a misplay there from Deluxe. Should have saved his Alpha Strike for that flash, but Neon's in a little bit of trouble in the mid lane.
Yeah, he has to be careful. He has utilized the Shadow. He goes on to Globify. He knows he's in the world of pain. He's trying his best. He gets ignited. Lowe's doing that with the flash on, but a great Vault Breaker coming out from Vengeance. Allows Globify to secure the kill. The Ignite will actually do that. And Globify seeking Vengeance. We're seeing what occurred in previous game. The Vengeance-Globify duo combo definitely proving to be dividend and powerful in this game.
Yeah. And last game there was a massive CS disadvantage in the top lane. This game, look at the bottom lane. We've got 46 to 15. So much bully potential from that early game Ezreal Vel'Koz combo. We saw the poke just relentless, and Jasonator really just not able to get in range. Lucian, very short range champion, just not able to get in range of those minions to pick up those creep scores.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just unfortunate for Lucian to be able to get anywhere close towards those minions. Vel'Koz is doing a very good job. That with the Mystic shots coming out from Ezreal as well. They're able to do a very good job of zoning away Jay-Z on those minions. And forcing him under tower. Okay, granted, he can try and last it under tower, but he only has the Vampiric Scepter. Hasn't gone for those likes of pickaxe. But Dasco doesn't care. He's going on. Sarah has been exhausted. She will fall down. Who will get the kill? He gets stunned up. It's actually going to go towards Jay-Z. Meanwhile, Fluffy did pick up a kill onto Dasco. So that's still a 1-for-1 trade, and the fight is on Deluxe. Is he trying? But Jay-Z just dives in. He's taking one, taking two, and an amazing tectonic fissure coming out from Fluffy. That word disappeared in my mouth, and it is... Oh, disruption. Tectonic disruption. Meanwhile, Neon Gamer actually walks into the Orb of Deception. He will fall, giving Globify a kill. But that tectonic disruption was amazing. Meanwhile, Vengeance, seeking vengeance, and will get a kill onto Deluxe. This is just not going in the favor of Fear Everything and Rise. If anything, it's a lot worse than previous game.
Yeah, a bit of an overzealous dive there from Jasonator. He's recognizing that he's behind in this lane and needs some kills to try and claw his way back in, but diving under a tower like that is just not a smart move. You really have to they got a clean kill, and I feel like at that point they probably should have just gone back and taken the dragon. You know, they had a man down on the side of in the bot lane on the blue side, and they could have just taken that numbers advantage and gone for that dragon. But a little bit of a fight in the top lane.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually kind of going favor in Whirling Death. Definitely that lane swap between Deluxe and Whirling Death is actually proving quite well in that top lane. Now Vengeance is taking quite low. Deluxe finally picking himself a kill. He's actually hit by the life from Disintegration Ray. Meanwhile, Sarah is getting hit by those concussive blows. She has to be very careful. Jasonator is around the corner as well. Allows Dasko to leave away, but that Q coming out from Fluffy Cow does land on Dasko, and he's actually taking quite low. No! The Void Rift is not enough. Meanwhile, Jasonator is fighting on Sarah 1v1. The Q again missing by Fluffy Cow. Jasonator will simply get away. And I do apologize, I haven't seen much of Valkos, so the names escape me. Plasma Fission. But the Valkos pick itself is, I'm liking it. It's doing work. It's getting those kills. The poke is really good by the Fluffy Cow, and that tectonic disruption. It's I don't think Fear, Everything, and Rise are even blatantly aware that when it can come out. They're not respecting that tectonic disruption can actually disrupt their team and potentially turn fights away.
Yeah, well, we're definitely seeing it working in the CS discrepancy. It's the Vel'Koz Ezreal poke lane, just a lot of synergy in that lane, and when you have, oh gosh, mid lane, Neon is just evaporated, and another fight in the bot lane.
But a great Glacial Fissure coming out from Dasko. Fluffy will fall down. Now it's all up to Sarah. Can she get away? It doesn't seem like that. The concussive blows lands, but the culling is on. Sarah's so low. Jasonator picks up his second kill of the game. So a very good turnaround coming out from Fear Everything and Die. And Rise, sorry. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Whirling Death is taking damage slow, and the Void Walk or Rift Walk will pick up the kill right there from Jazza.
Yeah, so going for the all-in there, Whirling Death, using that Unstoppable Force. Unfortunately, he used it just after the Null Sphere came out. Oh gosh, Vengeance. Oh.
He's not been in his jungle whatsoever. He's just been living in Deluxe's jungle, living the Deluxe life. It is unfortunate for Deluxe, though he's not able to get anything rolling. We saw it in last game when he was playing the Vladimir, he was just not able to generate any form of snowball or any form of a lead for himself or just some gold gain. And he thought by moving to the jungle, playing a farm-orientated jungle, it could be able to be different. Vengeance is not allowing it. In fact, Vengeance is still doing the early ganks. The charm misses by Neon Gamer, so a really good death mark to avoid the charm. But Vengeance camps the enemy jungle, gets the gank, gets the kills, everyone's happy. Except for Fear Everything and Rise.
And we do see he's already picked up his Warriors Champion enchantment along with the mobility boots, so he's just moving all around the map and doing all of the damage right now. And he's actually picked up a good CS advantage over Deluxe as well. Just, you know, so much pressure in his jungle. Deluxe really can't farm as he'd like to. Oh gosh, this bottom lane.
That was a great walk coming out from Dasko. Was able to negate the True Shot barrage, and Exhaust is now onto Sarah. She won't be able to get the kills or chase potential at all. Oh, sorry about that. Jasonator is forced to back away. He's taking down the tectonic disruption. Does miss. Deluxe is also around the corner, so he might be able to do anything. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Gloverfight is coming completely balls deep. This time it's a different story. He's 4-0-1. He has yet to die towards Neon Gamer. Neon Gamer is being schooled on how to really play. He isn't the professor anymore. He's lost his class. And Whirling Death in the top lane is just chilling, not killing, unfortunately. And this will be the first dragon of the game going towards the Fluffy Whales.
Yeah, so you know, getting that advantage in the bot lane, a kill in the bot lane. Oh, sorry, forced Lucian back in the bot lane and a kill in the mid lane means that they do have free reign over this dragon, and they will be able to pick that up for themselves, taking that dragon at the first available opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a pretty good start for themselves. A good stat boost. Obviously, won't be evident early game because it is a percentage boost. Jasonator doesn't care. He's balls deep yet again. He should be able to Rift Walk away as he does to safety. He's reciprocating his tower dive ways from the Aurelia game, this time on Cassidy, and actually has a better way of getting away from that as well. So he's picked up his second kill of the game, Whirling Death, doing a better performance when he did compared to the Udyr game he did last one, but still not going to be enough. The rest of his team are falling short. And it's unfortunate. Now Deluxe gets caught by the charm. The technological disruption lands. The flash is on, but a great Dasco shield keeping him alive. Meanwhile, Benny's coming up from Ryan. Dasco's in a lot of pain. Glacial Fissure lands on all three. But Glumify will secure the kill with all the deception. The True Shot Barrage does not pick up the kill on Deluxe. And now the poke, the range abilities, all these skill shots, keeping Fear Everything Rise underneath their tower. It's not something that they actually want to deal with. This is not in their favor whatsoever. Glumify taking a bit later. Tectonic Life Form Disintegration Ray. It disintegrated. Jazinator now. Neon Gamer trying to get a kill. He's not able to get the early kills like last time. And surprisingly enough, I don't know if he's actually going for another Tiamat with the likes of the pickaxe and the longsword.
Yeah, well, it looks like he is walking towards that team. Oh, nice flash! And he's still going.
It was a great flash, dodging the plasma fission, but who cares when there's a charm? Wasn't able to actually dodge down. Now, Whirling Death doesn't have the unstoppable force, is not able to follow up and get a kills on anyone. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Sarah, she's just been free farming. She's actually doing quite well for herself. 95 CS, 13 minutes game, 1-2-2 has completed the Triforce. So this is not a blue Ezreal build that we saw in the previous game. This is a lot more of a Triforce crit build. And
yeah, so
it's
we actually saw Triforce in the previous game.
Oh, was Triforce?
Yeah, okay. So Triforce Ezreal both games. Fluffy Cow was playing that in the previous game. Now on the Vel'Koz. Oh, fight it! Oh,
and
wow.
A fantastic Vault Breaker coming in from Vengeance and landed on both. And a turnaround True Shot Rush. That combo itself is amazing. The double knockup allowed Sarah's True Shot to Rush channel, and that's very scary. And
yeah, so once again we're seeing Fluffy Waffles really establishing a dominant position in this game, but Sarah's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, it gets stunned up by the concussive blows. Neon Gamer is coming in, does flash away from the wall, also use the heal. Meanwhile, Fluffy Cow is doing his best. He does land Tectonic Disruption. Vengeance was able to get there in time. Gets on Neon Gamer to try and keep Sarah alive, picks up the kill. Meanwhile, Fluffy Cow's on the chase. Will he be able to get the kill? Vengeance Cow. So Vengeance is there. The flash coming out from Dasco does escape. But a good play from Fluffy Cow was able to keep Sarah up and alive for a long time. Tectonic Disruption lands, so does Plasma Fission, and Jazinator has to be careful.
Yeah, so we're just seeing a lot of poke damage coming out from this Fluffy Waffles side. And looks like Jazinator's still going at it.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, Dasco was there. Was actually a good bait coming out from Jazinator. That Dasco landed the concussive blows with the... got his Q, but Vengeance going deep, does miss the Vault Break and another concussive blows. Those stuns, actually big and a good kill, denied the Assault and Battery. In fact, actually put it on cooldown. Interesting. Interesting. Neon Gamer, interestingly, gets destroyed, but what interesting is, I thought Assault and Battery means Vi's untargetable.
Sorry?
I thought Assault and Battery allowed Vi to be untargetable. Like she uses
No,
it.
It just makes her immune to crowd control.
Oh.
So a lot of abilities, such as Assault and Battery, Cataclysm, Unstoppable Force, a lot of abilities like that, they have an initial 0.25 second cast time that most abilities have, and then they also have the additional travel time. And during all of those abilities, during the travel time of those abilities, your champion has complete immunity to crowd control. And the only way you can cancel those abilities after they've been cast is by killing them before the travel completes. So what happened there was the initial 0.25 second cast time of Assault and Battery went off, so the ability went on cooldown, and then he died during the travel time before the ability could connect.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because I was wondering as to, I believed she was untargetable during the ultimate, so that makes a lot more sense, and Jazinator, utilizing the travel time, they will pick off the kill and survive. But that one simple Mystic shot from Sarah actually kind of hurts. Jazinator isn't that well to off. He's very squishy. Deluxe caught out yet again in his jungle. The pause comes out. But the pause will not be enough to save his life. He will fall down. To who? It all depends on what Jazza does. He can Rift Walk and get the kill. But the pause will not save him.
So he's going down here, of course, doesn't have flash, still got 30 seconds on that one, and I believe he's slowed a bit too much to be able to get away from that Void Rift, and of course the Rift Walk from Jazanita.
And who gets the kill? It's going to go over to Jazza. So he's now 4-0, still able to get a kill onto Deluxe. He's like, I don't care if you're a juggler this time, I've got you. Globify doing a really good Spirit Rush into Zonya, was able to bait out the Glacial Fissure and turns around for a double kill in the favor of Fluffy Waffles, a double kill for himself as well. So Globify showing his Ari skills and having a much better performance compared to Nidalee played last game.
Yeah, definitely. So 8-0-4, in fact. I hadn't even seen that kill score. That's one scary Ari, and it looks like this game going very much the way of the first at this point.
Yeah, absolutely a much one-sided affair again in the favor of the Fluffy Whales. It was a bit unfortunate though, but Fear Everything Rise did kind of learn a bit from their previous game, so the solo laners weren't actually that too far behind in comparison to the snowball rate of previous game. Just Deluxe picked a jungler that just got absolutely outplayed. It's unfortunate for Deluxe, it's just not been his day. Both games boasting a massive death ratio. I believe it was like 0-9, 0-10 last game, now 1-7. It's just not his day. And Fluffy Whales showing why they're a threat for this round robin, working onto the top inhibitor turret only 18 minutes in.
Yeah, so Fear Everything in Rise. Hopefully they don't walk away from this game, with too much salt in their mouths. This really should be taken as more of a learning experience than anything else. Oh wow, nice little charm into Vault Breaker combo.
Yeah,
forcing him to walk into the Vault Breaker. I like that one. I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, definitely. It was actually a good play coming out from Globify and Vengeance. They have a crazy good mid-jungle coordination combo. Globify's now on a triple kill. They're not just Deluxe. He's going into Spirit Rush. Does have Zonya's as well. It's actually Jazza who picks up the kill. He's now chasing on a JC. And JC showing his back. The going in the wrong direction, my friend. And had he landed though on a Jazza, it could have actually been the end of Jazza. So Jay-Z, unfortunately, this is not his day either. And that's going to be the inhibitor.
The misclick is real.
The misclick is real. The one thing every Lucian player fears is culling the wrong direction. Unfortunately though, Fluffy aren't able to take the top inhibitor. Dusko does land the concussive blows on the Fluffy Cow. He will get stunned up very, very shortly. He will get the kill there. It might go over to Neon Gaming. Yes, it does. That's his first kill of the game. Not having a great performance in comparison to the previous game. He's now 1-10. Definitely not his day. Sarah doesn't have mana, trying his best to dodge everything. Gets hit by one concussive blow from the auto attack. Dasko doing his best, gets the exhaust. That's 3. The stun will come out, but the teleports also come from Jazana. He's coming in to assist his teammate. I won't leave you, Sarah. I'm here for you. The turnaround slow as well, but Whirling Death and Dasko are going to get away. And nothing too much unless Jazza decides to go completely balls deep.
Yeah, so they're just able to back out right now, and looks like pings actually go down onto that dragon, so looks like Fluffy Waffles going to look to pick up their second dragon of the game. They've actually not had that good dragon control. Oh, Neon Game is in trouble.
Yeah, it does use the Shadow Getaway, but the Flash Smite coming out from Vengeance, it's going to be enough to get the kill. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Jazza will pick up a kill into Jay-Z or Jazzinator, showing the real Jay in this team. And he's going to get himself 7-4. The likes of Fluffy Waffles, if anything, it's not to show like a good commanding win, it's to scare off any other virtual competitors, saying, we're here to win, we're going to take this round robin with a lot of skill. So other teams might be looking toward this game and be like, okay, we've got to fear something here.
Oh, they're most definitely a team to be feared, this Fluffy Waffles side. That said, we have seen some good play from a lot of the other teams in this tournament, but not quite as commanding performances as we've seen tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Another double kill going over the Jazza. He's now got himself a Rabadons. So he's boasting in ability power. Sarah is just dancing around with Dasko. We'll be finally able to get that top inhibitor eventually, as the middle inhibitor will fall down as well. So that's going to be a double inhibitor 22 minutes into game.
Yeah, so looks like this game is very much on the verge of being over, and Fluffy Waffles will most likely advance 2-0 in this series to the next round. So we'll just see if they're able to, have this one last final push.
Yeah, definitely. They're up onto the Nexus turrets right now. Jazza's actually zoning him away with the Hassan and Pick Vengeance. Was building up that Vault Breaker as well. Wasn't able to get onto anybody. Assault Battery is off cooldown now. So we could see a good divey play coming out from Vengeance. Tectonic Destruction lands on a Whirling Death. He's down below half health. Now the chase onto everybody. Neon Gamer falls up with the shotgun. It's not going to get onto anybody. And Fluffy Waffles are simply going to get away.
Yeah, so they actually wait for the, although they took down the inhibitors, oh, Dasko's in trouble.
Dasko, can he turn around and Gloverfy? There's the Zonyas. They're just dancing around Gloverfy. He actually gets flashed up, and he does. Oh my gosh, Dasko with the turnaround kill.
He's going to be happy with himself for that one. And the Rect goes out in old chat as well.
It is definitely worth it. Dasko showing his Braum skills, getting his second kill of the game. He's managed to take down Gloverfy's unstoppable reign, showing who really is the boss of this rift. But it's all come down to, I guess, just cheesy plays, comedic plays, I guess, from Fear Everything and Rise. There isn't really much they can do. They're 18k gold behind, they're 29 kills behind, 7-0 in turrets deficit, and 1 dragon behind as well. And a massive discrepancy in items. Look at Jazza, he'll just simply Riftwalk in, but Jason is trying to dodge and juke around. Riftwalk will be up, and all he needs to simply was just Q. The heal wasn't enough to keep him alive. Casson gets the win.
Yeah, so Fear Everything and Rise, what they hopefully can do is try and learn as much as they can from this game, understand where the weaknesses are in their play, and I mean, looking at this commanding performance, I'm sure there are several of them to analyze, and honestly, just keep at it, practice.
Oh, Sarah! Sarah from downtown wasn't able to make a play in tonight's matchup, but there we go from a snipe from long range. That True Shot Barrage is on point. Deluxe, just not his day. If anything, the highlights have been against him. And Fluffy Waffles finally hitting up to the Nexus turrets, but to them, the kills are more important than ending the game, because they know they can end it whenever they please. Gloverfy with the Zonyas managed to bait out 2 ultimates as well. That Zonyas is definitely worth it to charm. Also on Jazzinetta, he falls down. Gloverfy is unstopped, is a monster in this game. Picks up her 12th kill of the game, and Fluffy Waffles will take game 2 in another very convincing fashion. 44-8 is the kills. A 22k gold lead. They're 2-0 in this series, and they're proving to be a threat. Everyone should fear them now.
Yeah, so GG, well played to Fluffy Waffles. That will be the series. And like you said, a very commanding series from them. So, hopefully Fear Everything and Rise, they have a fair amount to take from that game, but one thing they can't do is be discouraged. You really have to take a series like that in your stride, realize, okay, we have a lot of improving to do if we want to get up there. And they just have to go back and practice, really. That's honestly the number one thing after a series like that is, we just need to practice and get better. And so hopefully they'll keep playing as a team and keep practicing as a team, and we'll be able to see them again, and hopefully they can be taking some games off teams like this.
Yeah, definitely. So it wasn't that much that lost so badly. Granted, it was a convincing win, but they can take away from all these losses. You can figure out what mistakes they were. For instance, Deluxe, he played the farm jungle. They want to play a farming jungle. At least get some wards out to know if you're going to be counter jungled and whatnot, and then just jump onto the likes of Vengeance. He lived in the enemy jungle and no wards came out. You can take all these little things, all the times you lose. There are things you can take away from it in order to next game better improve yourself. And as you mentioned, Fear Everything and Rise have a lot to take away from these 2 games, but they can potentially turn it around later on in these future weeks to come. It is an 11-week round robin as well, so this is just the 3rd round out of, I believe, 21 or 22 rounds. So they might have a bad loss now, but later on in the rounds they could definitely improve. And who knows, maybe if we see a rematch between these 2 teams, Fear Everything and Rise could potentially even take a game if they're able to improve.
Yeah, so that's it's one of the great things about the Oceanic scene is these kind of up-and-coming teams can actually take games off, more established and more practiced teams after. But, it takes time. You really have to practice, and you have to have the commitment to be able to do it. So, like we said, hopefully they'll keep playing as a team and able to pull together. But I believe that does it for our games for tonight. And I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure casting with you, Mr. Jester.
Oh man, likewise, Invisi. Despite being an incredibly long day today, it was amazing. Both best of threes. Alter Ego able to take the win in a 2-0 fashion. Granted, the second game was a forfeit, so they're able to take a win. And tonight, Fluffy Waffles as well were able to take a win from this best of 3. Hopefully, I get to cast with you yet again in the weeks to come. But guys, thank you for joining in. Tune in on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time for the round 4 of the Arclight Gaming Round Robin. Whichever teams, will see which one would be the featured matchup. But I hope you guys enjoy. This is Mr. Jester signing off. And thank you again, Invisi, for joining me tonight.
Yeah, good night, everyone.